We've almost come full circle, my tacticians, as we fly from Generation 6 to Generation 7 and the Alola region. The Alola region's Pokemon each bring great individual value, taking advantage of either their own moves and abilities, or using the opponent's abilities to their advantage. So for this team, I'm going to call them the Stars of Alola lineup. So here we are, tacticians. We have come full circle. We have arrived at the Alola region. It's been a long road since we started in Kanto, but here we are, Generation 7's Alola region. Now, the Alola region has quite a few interesting Pokemon that we can make use of. In particular, some of them work better with some of the Pokemon from the other generations. But we're going to be starting off this lineup, the Stars of Alola, with Rivenbee. That's right, the little tiny bee from Alola, the bee-fly Pokemon. This Pokemon offers, very interesting Quiver Dance setup. It's like it was designed with Quiver Dance in mind. So, what does Rivenbee got? Well, Rivenbee has 124 base speed. It has a very decent enough special defense and 70, and a strong enough 95 in the special attack to make use of the Quiver Dance. Though that really low health point, attack, and defense stats aren't exactly going to be helping our favor. So we're also going to be using the Sweet Veil ability to ensure that our Pokemon don't fall asleep, because we may encounter that one Pokemon that may try to put us to sleep with a Spore or something. I was looking at Generation 3. So we're going to be using the Quiver Dance. We're also going to be using the Dazzling Gleam. We're going to be using Bug Buzz for our main stabbing attacks. We're also going to be using, I believe, Pollen Puff. So for those of you who don't know, Pollen Puff, if it's used on either your opponent or an ally, it will either restore health or deal damage. So this is probably going to be one of our most dangerous abilities or dangerous moves if we can get the speed up, because that can actually help us out in a type jam. So that's going to be what our Rivenbee wants to do. Rivenbee is not going to be our weakness policy Pokemon. No. She's too frail to actually make use of the weakness policy. So our next Pokemon we're going to be looking at is Lycanroc. That's right, both midday and midnight form Lycanroc are allowed in the Weakness Cup. Now, really, it all depends on which of the Lycanrocs you want to use. Midday form, they both offer the same attack stat, regardless of what you go for. However, midday form offers you a little more leeway when it comes to the speed. You can outspeed your opponent. Obviously, if you're using the Sand Rush ability, that means you're going to be moving even faster during a sandstorm, which most teams are probably going to be running the Sandstorm. Let's be honest, they're going to be running Sandstorm, so you might as well bring in the midday form Lycanroc if you want to make use of that Sand Rush ability to ensure that you move faster than they do. Or you can make use of the midnight form and go for a really tankier setup. Sure, you sacrifice a bit of your speed, but you at least gain some more defensive stats, and you gain an increase in your health pool because of that. So that's what midday form and midnight Lycanroc wants to do. One of them wants to go for full-on rushing in your face offensive attack power. The other one wants to sit back and wait for you to make your move and so on. So that's what you can do with Lycanroc. So moving on to Serena. Serena, well, what has not been said about Serena that I have not said once, twice, or even 3 times on this channel before? What does Serena want to do? Serena wants to Trop Kick you, wants to use Queenly Majesty to protect your team from priority moves, very effective. It also has really strong defensive stat. It has an average speed stat, but its attack stat is where it really shines. So what do we have for our attacking moves? Well, we have the ever reliable Trop Kick. That's going to be our main stab damaging move. Gonna lower our opponent's attack stat when they land the kick with it. Gonna deal some decent enough grass damage. We also have access to the high jump kick if we want to go for those YOLO plays. We also have access to U-turn. That's another move that Serena can make use of that it really makes use of, actually. And finally, if we go for any egg moves, we have Feint. Good for breaking through protect barriers and defense barriers and so on. We also have access to Play Rough, so that's going to be an interesting attacking move. So Serena offers some great potential. We just have to make use of that potential. So here is where we're going to be using our weakness policy. This is going to be our weakness policy Pokemon, Minior. So Minior offers only one ability, but what Minior offers is really strong offensive potential when it gets set up. So what does Minior want to do? So Minior, most people choose to run a Shell Smash Minior, but Minior in this format, because it doesn't have the Focus Sash to protect it, it really doesn't want to set up against Pokemon. It doesn't want to set up those Shell Smashes because it can't, restore those defensive stats it loses in exchange for its offensive potential. But Minior is still going to be a really good weakness policy Pokemon, especially if we can survive that hit. And since most people are going to be using, Sandstorm, it will probably survive those super effective hits, especially if they're super effective or special attacking super effective hits. And once we get the weakness policy off and we're switched from Meteor form into Core form, we get a really strong, really fast moving Pokemon that deals a lot of damage thanks to our now effective weakness policy. We don't have to worry about setting up Shell Smashes because we need those defensive stats to stay in the fight. So what do we want to use? Well, instead of going for the Shell Smash, instead we're gonna go for Automatize. That's what we can go with if we want to go for our offensive moves. We can also set up Stealth Rocks. Take that turn to set up Stealth Rocks if we want to. We can once we get our power, we can either go for a Power Gem. We can go for we can go for maybe Ancient Power if we want to go for some additional stats if we want to take that risk. We're going to be making mostly use of the TM moves, so we're going to be looking at maybe either Rock Polish, again similar to Automatize if you want to either boost your stats or make yourself weaker, one or the other. They both do the same thing. We're going to be making use of perhaps Rock Slide for some damaging moves. Dazzling Gleam if we want to go for that. We have access to the Psychic, a very, very strong special attacking Psychic move. Acrobatics, since Acrobatics will activate if we don't have an item, it will increase in damage or double in damage because we're no longer holding an item. Really strong on this Minior, so that's pretty much what we're going to be using Minior for. It's going to be our, weakness policy Pokemon. So moving on to Pokemon number 5, it's going to be Dhelmise. Now, Dhelmise is a really strong, really tanky physical attacking Pokemon. What it lacks though is the speed, so this is where probably going to be your anti-Trick Room Pokemon. So if the opponent is running a Trick Room team, so maybe they may run a Trick Room or two, well, you've got a Dhelmise to counter it because of its really slow speed and its really high offensive pressure. So Dhelmise offers some really strong moves. We can go for the Anchor Shot, a strong steel attack. We can go for Heavy Slam if we want to. Phantom Force, a really strong move. We also have access to the Power Whip. We have access to a lot of things. We also have access to Switcheroo. So if we know that an opponent is or we suspect which one is running the weakness policy, we can do the same thing we did for Generation 6's Delphox and go for a Switcheroo. Try to steal their weakness policy before they have a chance to make use of it and trick them into activating the weakness policy for us. Of course, that's if we're able to get it off first, or if we're able to get the Switcheroo off first. So that's going to be your really big problem there. So you got to be hoping if you're going to use Delphox, you got to either bring in a Trick Room Pokemon to set you up, or you got to make use of your opponent's Trick Room. So that's what we're going to be doing. And finally, for the Stars of Alola, we're going to be looking at Como. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Como. Either way, we're going to be looking at the pseudo legendary Pokemon for Generation 7 Como. So Como has some really, really strong attack stats. It has some really strong special defenses. It has strong potential. It has a lot it can do. Problem is, it has a 4 times weakness to Fairy. It has a weakness to Flying. It has a weakness to Psychic. It has a weakness to Ice Dragon. Como is just not going to have a good time in this weakness cup. But if we can make use of the Como, if we can, survive the first hit, we have a lot of potential on our team. So What do we have? We have access to the Dragon Dance. We have access to changing to one of our signature moves, Clanging Scales, a really strong special attacking move that hits both opponents on the field but will reduce our defensive stat by 1. We have access to the Sky Uppercut, a move that, not a lot of people make use of, in particular because it's mostly to counter those people who run the Fly move, but it's there for a reason. We also have access to Noble Roar, so if we want to, we can use Noble Roar to lower our opponent's attacking stats by like 1 or 2 stages, I believe. That's how it works. We also have access to some interesting egg moves. We have access to the Reversal. If we know for sure that we're going to be taking some, we're going to be taking some damage, we can, return that damage back by increasing, as we take more damage, as we lose more health, Reversal will get stronger and stronger. We also has access there. Oh my goodness, I'm getting tongue twisted. But we have access to some really strong physical attacking moves. We have access to Brutal Swing, Shadow Claw. We have access to Poison Jab, X Scissor, Rock Slide, Bull's Nose. We even have access to the Sword Stance. What more do you want with this Pokemon? We have access to Bulk Up to increase our defensives and stuff. Increase our physical attack while increasing our defensive stat. We have access to Earthquake. We have access to Brick Break to bring down those light screens and such. We have access to Flamethrower. We have access to Aerial Ace so that no one can minimize against us. We have access to a lot of things. So this is what Como has. It has massive potential. You just gotta decide which path you want to take with Como. So once again, for the Stars of Alola lineup, let's look at them all once again. We're going to be looking at Ribbon for our Quiver Dance setup. We're going to be looking at Lycanroc. You can go with either midnight form Lycanroc, whichever takes your fancy. They're both equally viable. Serena, we're going to be looking at Serena to help keep us safe from priority moves, as well as using that drop kick to deal damage. Weaken our opponents as well. We're also going to be looking at Minior for the weakness policy Pokemon. Looking at Delmas, deal with any Trick Room teams, deal massive damage, tank them as well. And finally Como, just to make our opponent guess what kind of Como we're running. Are we a physical one or a special attacking one? Take your pick. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.